XRP was 17 cents 5 years ago. It went from unstoppable to unbreakable, and the real move hasn't even happened yet. And this is such a quick and a good reminder, to each and every one of you guys, because I tend to see so many negative comments coming in regards to XRP. But look how long it has come. Of course, it has been through so much. It has been through massive hurdles, and I still personally believe also, that we haven't really seen that big move that we are anticipating, because it's pretty much leveled in terms of the dollar amount compared to the 2018 top. Like almost obviously not actually reaching an all-time high yet, but we are retesting some of those levels, and people are very fast to forget that. Again, in the last 5 years, if you were accumulating, I'm sure you are up tremendously on XRP, as well as obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum. But let's take a closer look and see what's happening with the market. But before we get into it, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So as we can see across the board, we are seeing massive amounts of green, which of course is something that no one's really complaining about. But you're noticing a little bit of a shift happening, and this shift might have gotten a lot of people in the crypto markets excited. But as I've stated to you guys before we start jumping around, we do need to look for more confirmations. But XRP up 3% over the course of the last 24 hours, with the price currently sitting at $2.12. Also up 2.7% in Bitcoin comparative market cap at 124.4 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at about $4.9 billion. But looking across, you can see this for yourself. Summary of Fed Chair Powell's comment. We're going to kind of start off with this. So you can see, tariffs are bigger than expected and risk higher inflation, which of course means slower growth. Too soon to determine appropriate policy path. Fed well positioned to wait for greater clarity. Tariffs could have a persistent inflation impact, economic impact of tariffs larger than expected. And 6, must ensure price hikes don't lead to ongoing inflation. And again, this is not a surprise. Of course, we are seeing the uncertainty really kind of speaking for itself. We're not talking about just North America right now. We're talking about the entire globe right now, and the uncertainty is quite high. And in consideration to that, you can see the S&P 500, so the equity market, ends the week down 9.1% in its largest weekly drop since the pandemic, the March 2020, erasing $4 trillion of market cap. Today marked the S&P 500 and Nasdaq's worst day since March 2020. Insane amount of red, guys. We are seeing equity market completely taking a hit, and people are projecting, of course, people are projecting that we are going to see a little bit of a relief sooner rather than later. But at the same time, there's a lot of analysts predicting that we're going to see a major pullback, and of course, a lot of them are also projecting that we are entering a recession right now. But considering that, you are noticing something very, very, very interesting playing out. Is this a complete manipulation? Because usually we have seen the correlation playing out. But Bitcoin, remember, cryptocurrencies are, Bitcoin specifically was made to hedge against inflation. But this time around, is this really going to be, where we do see Bitcoin show that type of strength against, the other assets around the globe? But you can see $3.25 trillion wiped out of the U.S. stock market today. Meanwhile, 5.4 billion was added to the crypto market, meaning, crypto market actually saw a green day, while the equity market is just seeing a complete bloodbath. But usually we do tend to see that correlation playing out. Are we going to see this green momentum be short-lived for the crypto markets? We'll see. But is this really maybe also the start? Are these a question that we need to be asking? Is this really the start to something crazy, massive, revolutionary, where you do see these big entities, people actually coming into Bitcoin, which of course brings the overall market up with it? Is this really a time for us to see that, or is this just complete manipulation occurring, where we are seeing some green across the board? Because that could be the case right now. Do let me know in the comments down below what your personal thoughts are. But moving forward, let's take a look at this, guy. So of course yesterday, the Coinbase announcement came out how they are going to be launching XRP futures, and you can see this for yourself. XRP emerges as a retail favorite. This comes as XRP has emerged as a new retail favorite this cycle, diverging from Bitcoin's institutional driven surge. According to Glassnode, since the 2020 cycle low, XRP active addresses are up 490%, while Bitcoin has only seen a 0% increase, a sharp signal of speculative retail demand. Not just retail, I've stated to you guys before, we're talking about institutions as well. At the time of writing, XRP's market valuation is 121.6 billion, trailing only Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Tether USDT. XRP has rebounded above $2 mark after a drop below in its yesterday's trading sessions. It's currently up 2.16% in the last 24 hours to $2.09, having reached intraday highs of $2.10 as the broader crypto market slightly rebounded. Very, very interesting things. So pretty much stating that, you are seeing more interest coming in from retail and institutional towards XRP. Not a major surprise to one of us on this channel, of course. But let's take a look at what's happening with the dominance index still, showing a lot of strength right now, still sitting at about 62.86%. We did make our way up to 63% a few hours ago, but have seen a little bit of downside since then. But again, in the grand scheme of things, we're still really, really high for the dominance. Looking at BTC right now, I want to really show you guys what's happening with Bitcoin, finding itself back in the 23.6 Fib zone. I'm sorry, in the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement level, holding really nicely. Very, very interesting thing, that's happening with Bitcoin right now that, is not happening with the equity market. And as I've stated to you guys before, it's very interesting to note the way, the price of Bitcoin has been ranging in the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement level, and was able to see a close at this range. So are we about to see, this wick at 88K filling again? It's going to be quite interesting to see how the crypto markets react, this upcoming weekend. As you are seeing the market close, the traditional market close on a negative note, how is the crypto market really going to react? Let me know in the comments down below. But as of now, Bitcoin is looking really, really good in my opinion. But remember, on the weekends, more manipulation than usual due to CME futures being closed. But XRP making its way back into the 38.2 as well. Pretty much ranging around the $2.13. Of course, yeah, we're still in this consolidation pattern. Of course, in terms of getting excited, you need to see the price go into the red zone, which is 23.6. But as of now, this is something that is really nice, and of course, we shouldn't really be neglecting. But really, really impressed the way XRP is holding. We need to not forget that XRP 5 years ago was at 17 cents, and right now it's consolidating at this $2.13, which again itself is an amazing deal considering the massive uncertainty around the globe. The way XRP is currently holding is something that we should not ignore. But let me know down below what you guys think. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.